Ta-da! And welcome to Joseph's Model Railway and Toy Room. Thank you so much for joining me. Girls and boys, ladies and gentlemen, just a little bit of housekeeping. You don't need to follow, like, subscribe, any of that. I just put the videos out there where I can. Have a holly jolly great time doing so. Today's video, basically a two-part series. Talking part one here about getting started into building your own model airport, particularly for those of you on a budget. And how budget are we going? Well, today's key video, we're going to look at two jets. It's going to be the Singapore Airlines livery, and we're going to be looking at the Boeing 777. We're going to be comparing a Dragon Wings model, which can be purchased for thereabouts $100, and any of the other key manufacturers, including Gemini Jets, JC Wings, or NG models, expect to be paying, certainly in Australia, around about 100 to 150, depending on what you're doing. And here we've always had this B777-300 sitting at gate number 40 here at our terminal. Now, what made me want to do this series is I noticed you can purchase a 1 to 400 scale model for $15. And I thought, wow, $100 versus $15 could make for quite an entertaining video. How about we have a look and see what it's all about? So just really, first of all, for those of you that have purchased a quality model before when it comes to the die-cast model aviation, and this particular model is in a scale 1 to 400, it's a pretty traditional standard type of box, which makes storing it quite nicely. Give or take, if you've got a slightly bigger plane like an A380 or a 747, the box may be slightly bigger. Of course, when we open it up, we are traditionally greeted with the plastic insert, in which is usually a two-part box where you will find the jet sitting inside, and of course the top comes on, and that's all about protecting the tail most importantly. Also in here, and what I'm not using, is if you are going to display the model on a stand, perhaps on your desk or something like that, you can remove the landing gear and take the wheels away and close up those flaps accordingly if needed. Of course, that's not really how I like to personally display it, but perhaps that is how you like to do it. And these are all expected in almost any model that you may well purchase. The packaging, the detail regarding the jet, usually a key photo of it in real life taken from somewhere, and pretty much that's the story. And all these key manufacturers, as we've discussed in a video, and if you haven't, please do check out my recent video regarding the 787 Dreamliner, where of course we were comparing NG models versus Gemini jets, with some surprise results indeed. But we expect that for $100, and that's part and parcel of the game if you're going to get involved in collecting. So when I see I could buy a B777 in 1 to 400 for $15, that wasn't just a toy from a toy shop that you can expect for a few dollars, I was intrigued. First of all, it's the packaging. Here we are. A380, so first of all, alarm bells may be ringing in your head. That box is considerably smaller, which has me concerned. Any more than when we turn it around, you'll notice some key damage on the box where clearly the wings or something have been poking through. So at $15, and of course this was from a popular trading site that made its way over from a rather populous country, and here we are. I don't have much about the manufacturer. I have an instruction on this is how and where you're supposed to open them. It's an aircraft model, and I guess the telltale sign is it's a B777. That's all I've got to go on here, and of course that's handwritten in a biro. So that's something else, and some general damage across this box. The weight is certainly there. This is a die-cast model, so why don't we open it up and see what's inside the box, shall we? Just before we do show you inside that box, here are just a couple of still images here of our magnificent Dragon Wings Singapore B777-300. And I have had this particular one in my collection for probably going on 12 years now. So it's been quite some time. And certainly, as you can see on the shots, we come in, well, there's quite a bit of dust actually sitting on it. Again, we've got the detail in the engines. Again, the paintwork across the top of the wings. It's all the usual suspects you would expect to see. Again, in the more modern jets I've been talking about, we see some extreme detail regarding the landing light arrays across the insides of the wings, and some excellent detail on the engine. But for a model that's 12 years old, and of course for Singapore Airlines, the B777 has been an absolute workhorse. In fact, from memory, they may have owned more of this particular model of jet than any others. I may be wrong there. So of course, it's a tremendous model and packaged up very well. And as we've seen in other videos, all the rest of them absolutely top class. I have nothing but good words to say. NG model seems to sort of be winning in saying that it's probably the more premium and probably ranks the highest. I find that a tough call after you saw in our video regarding the Qatar 787 Dreamliner, where comparisons between that and Gemini jets, there were pros and cons on both sides. Let's open the box up and see what we have. Well, we literally have a plastic bag that is sealed and a model inside. Oh, that's good news. There is also a stand, and that's it. There are no wheels. So it doesn't look like I'm going to be able to do an absolute side-on-side comparison, which was a bit of a shame, because that sort of destroys my part 2 idea here of the video, but you'll still get the part 2 in the coming weeks. Let's open the packaging up and have a look at exactly what we've got in here. And we have a rather solid, the dimensions of this, because we don't have the variation of what it is, certainly seem a little out. And certainly the size of that body, if we're calling this 1 to 400, I honestly could say I can't quite put it there. Let's get started if we can, and we'll come in for some closer shots here. That nose is pretty ordinary. It looks like it got hammered out with a hard potato. We come across, there's no detail across the tops of the wings, and you can see that this isn't a standard sort of unibody design where they've made the join to the wing assembly. I don't mind how they did that. I think that's not a bad way to go. But the detail is exceptionally lacking. In fact, underneath, if we come in on some close shots here, there seems to be some abrasions here, and I wouldn't think that's certainly from the freight. That might have just been the way it's manufactured, but they really look truly terrible. The paint work is not all too bad for $15. I must admit, it's a shame that the Singapore Airlines logo isn't straight, and the color is not quite the right shade of blue. Side by side, and that quality becomes pretty evident. That there is almost no detail in the engine, except we can see there are the distinct fan blades. There's some dirt or a chip or some mud on it. Again, I saw that in the packaging before we opened it. And the build quality for $15, let's be fair, if you were giving it to a young person who might want to start off their journey, at $15 versus $100, this isn't a bad way to go. The lack of wheels on this is obviously a big concern for me. I can't sort of display it. I may have to purchase another B777 and also mount it on a stand to do more of a side-by-side with it. But the nose is truly disappointing. It really doesn't fit the profile. And the cockpit windows, not quite right. All in all, for $15, I think it's not a bad model. And certainly, if it's one you just want to display on the stand, this could be an option for you. Let's just open that stand up for a moment and put this into some sort of a pose if we can. It's a nice little stand. It's all just clearly plastic. I do like that transparency on the bottom. A lot of the more professional and higher grade ones, you'll have almost a glass finish to it. This is not too bad at $15, honestly, I think. For those of you that obviously want to go a bit more serious, you're going to get great investment from stepping up to the more traditional names. Again, I don't even have a name other than W Aircraft Model. But by all means, I certainly hope this has given you a little snapshot into what you can find, particularly being this is still somewhat of a niche hobby. And what a wonderful way to sort of introduce other people into it. So certainly if you had made a layout like this and just had literally, and if we had wheels, had a series of them lined up against the terminal with the tail sticking out, first impressions, that's not too bad at all. but closer inspection is quickly going to come unstuck. So girls and boys, ladies and gentlemen, that's now going to conclude this video. We were just always going to keep this one quick and short, and I'm sorry because I really did want to get a picture though of these two side by side sitting against the terminal, but without those wheels I can't really pull that off with any great degree of success. But certainly this is a tremendous model. At $15 I got free postage on that as well. They do make a few other variations and in different liveries, but I thought this was a nice neutral one to compare. I don't want to go to anything that's super brand new and very well over the top in detailing. I just wanted something generic and common you would have certainly have seen sometime in your lifetime if you're an aviation enthusiast. So here we go, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much. The Singapore Airlines 1-400 B777, and here we are with Dragon Wings and a generic one, $100 versus $15. You make the decision, and I'll certainly look forward to seeing you in the next one. Stay safe. Toodles.